Morning Year 5, I hope we're really well on this Monday morning. So starting a new week this week, let's see what we've got for today. So again we're going to start off with our reading. And as I said last week, we're going to now start a new book, which is Lemony Snicket, The Bad Beginning. And we're going to go through again 3 skills again this week based on this book. So like we did last week, but this time using a text. So let's have a look at retrieval first. If we pop up a question for you to have a look at. So the question is, how could you tell what that Violet was thinking hard, So for this one, the best way, like we talked about last week, was to do a little bit of scanning the text. So I'm going to be looking for, obviously I can look for Violet and I can also look for that thinking hard. So my first step is to look for that, and if I look towards the very top, I can see that there's that phrase there, thinking hard. So that's my starting point. And then obviously I'm going to read around the bit that she says. So the first bit says, anyone who knew Violet well could tell she was thinking hard. So that's not my answer to that. So if I carry on reading, because her long hair was tied up in a ribbon. So that is going to be, look, my answer. So we knew she was thinking hard because her hair was tied up in a ribbon. Let's have another go. So same bit of text that we're going to look at today. This time though, a different question. Did Violet worry about her appearance and why? Now for this one, you can obviously look for Violet, but we know the whole piece is about Violet, so you can't really find this one out. And if we look for appearance, that isn't in there either. So what we can do is we can begin to think about what links to an appearance. So if you look on this bit here, it says about her hair look, and that's obviously to do with our appearance. And it says she was often inventing strange devices, so her brain was often filled with images of pulleys, levers and gears, and she never wanted to be distracted by something as trivial as hair. So my answer to that one would be, she didn't want to be distracted by something and as she calls it, trivial. That means like not that important. It's obviously not important to her what she looks like. So my answer to that would be no, because she wants to concentrate on thinking about new inventions. So in your packs you'll find some retrieval questions to have a go at on chapter 1. Remember to make sure you've read chapter 1 properly first, and that will help you again with those retrieval skills. So on to maths for this week, and again we can carry on with our decimals theme. And today we're looking at adding decimals with the same number of decimal places, and we're just going to discuss what same number of decimal places actually means before we go ahead. So what does the same number of decimal places actually mean? Well, if you look at my very small place value table there in front on the screen, you can see we've got 2 numbers. We've got 2.35 and I've got 5.89. Now you can see that I've got something in my units, so I'll always have that with a decimal number, even if it's 0. And then in my tenths column I've got the 2.35 has got 3 tenths and the 5.89 has got 8 tenths. And then in my hundredths column I've got my 2.35 has got 5 hundredths and my 5.89 has got 9 hundredths. So what we can say is they've both got the same number of decimal places, and in this case they've both got 2 decimal places. It's the number of places after the decimal point, or the number of places to the right of the decimal point. So let's just carry on that. This time though we've got thousandths, but again you can see that we've got they've both got tenths, they've both got hundredths, and they've both got thousandths. So they don't have different number of decimal places. They've all got, both of those numbers, they've got 3, would say, decimal places. So what does that mean for adding up our numbers in terms of how many decimal places they have? Well, not a lot really, in terms of what we know already in terms of what we need to do when we're adding, and that's to keep our place value columns in line. So when we're writing these out, and I haven't written these out for you, I want you to be able to, because part of the task today really is to get these set out in an accurate way for you to solve them. So I have not set these out in a column method for you, and we're going to go through that now and how to do that. So if we start off with our first number, we're going to add 2.36 to 5.78. So we would write 2.36 first, and then underneath that we would then write, obviously keeping the decimal places correct, that's got 5 units, put our decimal point underneath, then it's got 7/10, and then it's got 8 hundredths. So we can see, and the key thing for this, and for all of you to remember when you do these, is to make sure that that decimal place is in line. Okay, if it isn't, remember you won't get the correct answer for these. And another strategy you might want to use when you are writing these out is you might want to start with your decimal places first and then put your numbers around it, and that might help you make sure you line up those decimal places. Okay, so how would we actually go ahead and solve this then? Well, nothing's really different to what we've done if this was a 3-digit number adding a 3-digit number. Obviously we've got the decimal point there, but the same principle remains, and we mustn't forget to carry numbers over into the next place value column if we need to. So start with our answer box, and we're going to add 6, add 8, which is actually 14. So we're going to put our units in there as 4, and we're going to carry our 1 over. So now we're adding 3 and 7, which is 10, not forgetting our extra 1, so that's 11. So we're going to put our 1 in that place value column and carry over into our units column with that 1 there. Now don't forget to put your decimal point in, and then we're going to add the units column up plus our carried number. So we've got 2, add 5, well that's 7, add the extra 1, so it's 8. So our answer is 8.14 for that one. Okay, if you pause the video now, have a go at this one just before I solve it. So again, I've already lined these up now, so you can see that decimal points lined up, so I'm ready to start. And obviously because the same number of decimal places, I can sort of see that I've got that right too. So we're going to start off with our hundredths column in this one. So I'm going to add 6, add 4, and that's going to be 10. So put my 0 in, carry my 1 into the tenths column. 2, add 6, plus 1 is going to be 9. Put my decimal point in, nothing to carry on this one. And then 7, add 4, well that's just 11, and there's nowhere to carry, so you just write 11. So that'll be our answer for that one. Okay, so you'll have a few of those to do in your packs. Remember, it's all about having that decimal point lined up properly, and it should be dead easy. Again, don't forget to carry on with your times table rock stars, and again look out for any battles that might pop up. Onto our writing then, and we're going to keep on the on our theme of reading, which was the Lemony Snicket book that we've started, and we're going to use that for our writing this week. And the outcome for writing this week will be to write a diary entry based on that book. So today's lesson we're going to look at inferring information about characters, and the key question really for today is what can we learn about characters and how does the author develop them? So that's the key question that we're going to answer, and you're going to be looking at Klaus and Sonny as a character, and I'm going to just show you how we might do that looking at Violet. So I've got a little snippet from the text here. So in this short section, what can we find out about Violet? That's what we're going to be, and we're just going to take some notes really today. We're not really writing long sentences, we're just taking some notes about what we can sort of find out about the character. So very easily we can find out that she's the eldest. So if we're thinking back to our reading skills, because this links to reading, that's really a retrieval. So there's not much more to be said than that she's the oldest child within the of the three children. Okay, so we just would make a note of that. Now, the next thing we find out is that she likes to skip rocks, like skimming them across the water. So what we need to do on this one is try and infer what that might mean. So if somebody likes to do that, we might say that they're quite adventurous. They like to play games and be outside maybe. So what we're doing there is we're inferring that she's adventurous. We haven't been told that in the text directly, but we're trying to have a think about what that might mean from what she does. So that's our inferring skills coming in from reading. Okay, let's carry on a little bit. Another section about Violet. So if we pick out this bit, she likes to think a lot about the inventions that she wanted to build. So again, what we could say about her there is that she's a deep thinker, because she thinks quite a long time about them. And if she's an inventor and makes things, then she's quite practical. She's good with her hands. Okay, so next bit we could pick out would be she's got a knack for inventing and building strange devices. So again, we can begin to think about that she's creative. She's able to think of brand new things, so she must be quite a creative thinker. And then finally, going back to our reading, actually the question that we had in our reading, what does this tell her about that she's not actually worried about her hair? Then we could say that she's not very vain, and she doesn't worry too much about her appearance. So it links back to that question that we had at the beginning. So let's look at how we might begin to put this into a much better format in terms of collecting our ideas together. So what I've chose to do on here is I've just got a picture of her from the internet and her name, and then all of the information that we picked out from that short text I've just put around. Now you don't have to do it like that, you can do it in a table. How you choose to present this information is entirely up to you. But you have got clouds to work on or sun in. You'll see in your patch you've got the little text relating to those children already in there.